Serious foodborne illnesses have been making headlines all summer long, but while much of the attention has been on produce, dozens of families impacted by tainted infant formula say they've been forgotten.
Infant botulism outbreaks tied to formula are still being investigated, and now we're connecting the dots on how this happened and whether critical warning signs were missed.
When Amy Mazziotti arrived at the pediatrician, her baby was on the brink of something no parent prepares for.
He just kind of plopped down and wasn't moving, and she just looked at me and she said, "Amy, you need to get him to the emergency room."
Her 5-month-old son would undergo brutal hours of tests and evaluations.
I did 100% think that there was a chance that Hank could die. I just knew he wasn't getting better and progressively getting worse and fast.
Doctors suspected botulism, a toxin that attacks the nerves, can paralyze a baby's muscles, and in severe cases leave them unable to eat or breathe. Amy's gut told her the source was Hank's infant formula.
Every time a doctor came in, I asked about the formula. I just couldn't let it go. I almost felt like I was being gaslit because they were like, "No, there's no way. There's no way. Like, why are you even thinking that?" I'm like, "Because I just have a feeling. I just have a feeling."
Months later, Amy learned her intuition was right. Hank's By Heart formula was recalled, tied to infant botulism. 48 babies in 17 states were sickened with confirmed or probable infant botulism. In February 2026, the CDC declared the outbreak over. But 2 months later, 4 more babies, another wave of botulism, this time a different formula, Nara Organics.
If I'm being told at the hospital that, no, there's never been a case of this, no baby has ever gotten botulism, and then less than a year later, there's 2 recalls on this, something's wrong.
Something the FDA had known for years. In 2023, the agency warned formula makers about the historical link between powdered formula and pathogens, including botulism, and urged controls to protect against it. Yet, in the months that followed, 2 major outbreaks occurred.
This was a risk just waiting to happen.
Bill Marler represents families who say their babies were harmed.
Many of the media and the government officials have moved on, and the industry is trying to move on. But, you know, some of these kids may have lifetime complications.
He says those failures fall at the feet of regulators and Congress.
I can count on one hand how many times a government official has reached out to a parent or had a parent come and testify about what it was like to watch their child maybe gasp for breath, to, be on a feeding tube.
Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro has long advocated for infant formula safety on Capitol Hill.
There are growing calls for a hearing to get a lot of these infant formula questions answered. Is that something you're gonna?
Well, I can't call a hearing in the minority because we're in the minority, but I can do briefings, and that was what we were trying to do. We tried to do a briefing, and the FDA was less than cooperative.
In the meantime, she has introduced legislation to require testing for botulism, monitoring standards, and notification to Congress when these pathogens are found. That bill has been sitting in committee since March. We asked its chairman, Republican Representative Brett Guthrie, if he would move the bill. His office did not respond. By Heart also did not respond to our questions. NARA says it's working with public health agencies and follows the highest standards for safety.
Okay, ready? And shake it, shake it, shake it.
But without laws in place, Mazziotti worries a third outbreak could happen.
Every story I see about it, it ends like there's been no deaths, so it's okay. But just because they didn't die doesn't mean they're okay. Is that what it takes? A baby has to die for it to become important?
And the FDA is still investigating the original source of the outbreak, Scott.
All right, so Lisa, what's happening with these lawsuits over botulism? Are they amounting to anything?
Well, it's interesting. So plaintiffs are suing the makers of the formula, but they're also suing 20 John Does that will be determined when there's more clarity about the source of the outbreak. That is part of what we are currently working on to figure out, and there are a number of questions, particularly among suppliers, about who knew what and when.
Always the tricky part there, right? What about the FDA vowing this kind of major review of infant formula safety? Where does that stand right now?
Well, so the agency recently completed what it called the largest and most comprehensive testing of infant formula ever done, and it declared the supply chain was safe due to low levels of heavy metals and other contaminants, but its testing did not include any pathogens that can sicken babies. It also did not release the names of the brands it tested, which we have been fighting for and are still trying to obtain to help parents get the transparency they need and frankly deserve. These tests and this study was done with taxpayer money.
Yeah, and I'm sure they just want to be able to feel informed so they can take a more safe
100%.
approach.
You have some information when you go to the grocery
Yeah,
store.
how frustrating. All right, well, we know you're digging into it. Hopefully
are.
more answers will come in the next report. Thank you, Lisa. And to see all of Lisa's reporting on baby food and infant formula, just go to WJLA.com.